He looked like a bunch of lights to me, but I knew he was the one. Well, it's been an interesting year. I'll talk just briefly about what's going on. You heard some of it from Scott in terms of the comic book world. There is another miniseries as well that he hasn't told you about because I haven't told him about it yet. But we are definitely going to be moving full steam ahead with the various verses. And Dark Horse, as always, is just about the best studio to work for. So I'm so grateful for that. Another favorite studio of mine is me. And I think I really get it. I get what an artist needs, and I really treat myself well. I just feel that I'm very supportive. And 2 days ago, I'm very happy to say, we actually finished post-production on Much Ado About Nothing. Very important thing to me. I cannot wait to show you people this movie. I don't know how I'm going to do that because we are submitting it to some festivals and hopefully somebody will purchase it and put it in theaters. I don't know. That doesn't work? Check iTunes. I'll find some way to get it to you. I am so proud of everybody in it, most of whom you will be familiar with. You're going to see just people you love rocking Shakespeare so hard. It's a weird little piece, I'm not gonna lie. But it's been a great experience for me, one of the greatest. Partially because I did something that I've never done before, and when I've never done something before, it's very terrifying, and when I'm terrified, then I know I'm having fun. I wrote the score. So it's my first score, and if it's terrible, then, well, it was my first. So that's been taking up my time, and we finished, and it was very exciting. And that meant that I, didn't have anything that I had to do. So 45 minutes in, I became terrified, and instantly got together with Jed Whedon, Zach Whedon, Maritza Tancheron Whedon, and started talking about Dr. Horrible 2. And we decided against it. We're going to do 3 prequels, but they're going to we have been working on it over the years, and it's years, I'm embarrassed to say, and it was really a meeting about how to move forward and also about how much we have, and the work that they've been doing and we've been doing separately is really exciting. We got a bunch of songs, we know exactly where we're going. I can't wait to tell you more about it. I'm not going to do it now, but it's coming along, and so that's actually going to start happening sometime, possibly in the spring. Some of the actors in it are very successful, which is kind of some blessing. So, but hopefully we'll be putting that up soon, and I am going directly from Comic-Con to London to meet with Warren Ellis to talk about this universe. So, in the big picture, what's up for me, I have no idea. It's a good kind of fear, I think. But in the macro, in the little picture, the stuff that's coming is very, very, very exciting. Because working with the smartest people I know, and it's the kind of entertainment that not only do we create on our own terms, but we distribute it on our own terms, which means you guys get to see it in order. Scott was not lying when he said I had not prepared anything to say. I would love to have prepared something to say. If I did, I said it. 17 times already today. I have not stopped talking since I left this panel. That was earlier today, which is why I was starting to sound like Elaine Stritch. So, I'm going to say that we should probably go ahead and introduce the question portion, where you guys ask very long, detailed questions, and I get to answer at least some of them, possibly in mime. What is it like to work at Fox? So, without further, let's have a question, please.
Hi, my name is Lisa. I just want to say thank you so much for continuing the Buffyverse in the comics. It's my favorite TV show ever, and season 9 is awesome. So I was just wondering, I love Andrew Chambliss and Scott Alley's writing, but were you going to write any of season 9 or season 10?
First of all, enormous props to both those guys for taking over what was going to be somewhat more collaborative. Andrew and I laid out exactly what we wanted to happen in the season, and then a few issues in, my brain exploded. And he took over in an extraordinarily manful fashion, and the stuff he's doing has such integrity and rhythm and humor, and just, he was not a Buffy writer, but he sure is now, and I'm really grateful to both of them. I definitely think the most important involvement that I have is in the big picture stuff, the structure, where are we going with this character, who needs to be highlighted, who needs to be together, what are we going to do? That's where, the idea stuff, being in the room, which we don't get into very often, but breaking it down, that's the most important. When I can, I love to write it. It's like a little vacation for me, and I'm certainly due for a vacation. But in the main, I'm very grateful that now I have this extraordinary stable of people that I can trust with not only Buffy, but Angel and Faith and all the things coming up.
So two of the biggest things at Comic-Con are obviously you and Zombie Apocalypse. So you touched on a little bit with the Reavers, but I'm curious, if you were to write a Zombie Apocalypse graphic novel, series, whatever, what would be your unique twist besides killing off all of our favorite characters?
How many minutes before we get to that one? My first question is the biggest thing that comes to the zombie apocalypse. Is there actually one happening? Is there what? Sorry? Oh, okay. I'm really sorry. Zombie apocalypses show up in most of the stuff I do, and in fact, in a lot of the stuff I haven't done yet. And my unique twist usually is that I think that we assume we know where they're coming from, and the thing that interests me the most about people is that what they assume is their worst trait and what they assume is their best are so often intermingled, or in fact the same thing. And so I feel like, you look at like the Rage zombies from 28 Days Later, it's like, well, that's fine. Yeah, that's terrible, but I'm more interested in like our best intentions and how they turn us into horrible zombies. Because let's face it, gotta have zombies. Gotta have a zombie apocalypse. Everybody wants one, it's fun. But for me, the twist is, where does it come from? It's not something that where you go, oh, just shoot the head, it's all gonna be all right. I mean, what if you had a zombie apocalypse and, there was a chance that you could actually cure them, and then you couldn't just shoot them in the head, but they were still out there trying to kill you. I would like to complicate it. I think they've become popular a little bit because they are fodder. Because, you can mow them down and it's okay. Like in the 80s, that was foreigners. But robots or, so I think I would like to, investigate not being able to take the easy way out of that situation. And then kill people. No, I mean people that you love, like your family.
Would you ever consider going back to television?
I wasn't actually in the television. See, it's not other people. A lot of people have made mistakes. Absolutely, I love television. I think not only is it one of the most extraordinary mediums, but let's face it, most of the great storytelling that's being done on screens in America is being done on television. So, would I like to jump back in that pool? I would. It's a huge commitment. I'm in the business now of figuring out which huge commitment is my next. So I don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, TV rules, man.
Hi. You mentioned Jason Palmer and that fan art you have at your house. There's a lot of interest in film art. And I'm wondering whether you'd ever consider having a gallery official collection of art available for purchase, especially from Firefly and Dr. Horrible. Like, from a bunch of artists.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if I make money off this. Because of the meaning. They shouldn't let me do these things when I'm tired. They did something at Gallery, 1988, and a lot of people did some cool interpretations of stuff. It comes up now and again. We don't have any official sort of Firefly art store. All of this stuff is sort of tied up with likeness approval and licenses from whichever studio actually has the rights today. And so it's not something that I actively pursue just because it seems like it would become difficult in a way that's not interesting. But I agree that it should happen. I'm for it. Sorry? A lot of interest, okay. But like money? Alright. Well, if I find out you're selling it on the black market, I'm gonna kill that guy's family. This is just getting weird. This is gonna go in a very dark panel. It's like I'm always trying to get you guys to love me and love my story. Let's stop that. Let's tell the truth. I think I'm awesome. I think I secretly invented television. And I am like enormously handsome and I have a full lustrous head of hair. But enough about you.
Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon.
Considering we all love your work from Buffy to Avengers, like Druggies on Crack, now that producers are probably more open to your work because of the success of the Avengers, is there any of your unrealized projects you want to go back to from before?
It's come up. It always sounds weird coming from me because of the comics and the movie and the reboot. I'm not actually a big go back guy. Once I've told a story, even if it wasn't realized, there's something it's happened. That relationship has run its course, and there are definitely some stories that are still in me that sort of almost got out there, but I kind of tend to look forward. And so I think the next thing that I create will be something that I haven't created yet. I got some ideas. I got some thoughts. I got applause for being able to think. This is the best crowd ever. Watch, I can also walk. Yes. It's an absolute yes. They are so different, but they are all storytelling. And again, working on that score was a different way of communicating than I ever had before, but it was the same thing. It was writing. It was writing very specific emotional moments, and that's the only thing that I want to do in my life is create emotional moments, and I do not care where.
Hi, Joss. Really quick, there are a couple of really cool Wonder Woman statues. They make you look okay.
I'm glad to hear it. And there was a Kitty Pryde that looked pretty good, I thought. But I'm not sure who did that.
My question for you is, do you have any plans to work on a stage musical?
Here's the thing. Of course I do. But I have too many plans, and see above re spreading thin. So the question is, do I have the time to commit to what would be one of the largest and most difficult ventures I ever could encounter? I don't know what the answer is. I'm at that place right now where there are many different projects floating in front of me, and I'm trying to figure out which one is going to sort of descend and say, okay, I'm the next one. But yes, I'm dying to do a stage musical. They are... And I can hear them saying to me, I'm not dead. I think I'll go for a walk. Sarah Stilton, before Eric Idle clubs them on the head.
Hello, Joss. On my last deployment, I'm in the Navy. I watched all of Buffy, all of Angel straight through, and then rolled straight into season 8 comics. I'm really digging the season 9 comics right now. It's got the two sides with Buffy and then Angel and Faith. My question is, right now, which one is your favorite between the two?
Girls, you're both pretty. Honestly, I love them both for different reasons. And it's exciting for me, the Angel and Faith thing, because it's a little more new. But I love what we're doing with Buffy so much that I cannot choose between them. You've given me a Sophie choice, and I will not take it. I want them both in your face. That guy's family better watch out. What am I?
Hey Joss, huge fan of your work. I actually host an event called Whedon in New York City, 4 years running. My question for you is, will we get more Frey?
Okay. Frey is, she's a part of the verse now in a way that you can't really ignore. I adore her and all of her friends. I'm particularly fond of Gunther. And, it's a question of when we have the right idea and the time and the talent. She is, very much in the mix. I want more Frey. I want more Sugar Shock. I want all those things. But it's going to be a little bit. We got a bunch of stuff coming up, and she's on the back burner, but she is burning. She's on fire. I set her on fire.
Hi, Joss Whedon. Everybody loves what you did with the Avengers. The previous movies were good, but what you did with the Avengers was fantastic. So, would you be willing to work on any future Marvel movies, like an Avengers 2 or like Ant-Man or something like that?
Well, they got Edgar Wright in the house for Ant-Man, so I don't know the status of that project, but if Edgar Wright makes something, then I go to see it. I go to there. Yes, I really care about those characters. They speak to me. I do, I did go straight from that to this, which means I did two things in a row that I didn't originate, which is a little bit rough for me. But those characters, I grew up a Marvel boy, and so I definitely have huge affection for that whole world. So it's it could happen. Maybe we're afraid. We'll see.
Hi there. I have a question. I really enjoyed how you portrayed Natasha Romanoff in The Avengers. She was very strong, very feminine, and not a love interest, which was wonderful. Could you say a little bit more about how you thought about the character when you went in to direct Scarlett and looking at her in this group of men?
Well, I love her character in a way that I don't love any of the others, although I love them all for different reasons. She has the most darkness in her of any of them, and that's something that Scarlett and I talked about when we first met up, was that she has a really twisted past, and which meant that in the middle of my superhero movie, I got to make a little noir, and that was really fun. And just delving into that and understanding her structure of how she deals with people, the idea of always appearing to be helpless and then using that to get people to reveal themselves to her. It felt like the right character trait, felt fun. When we shot the first scene with her, the first scene in the movie, where she's all tied up, the producer, Jeremy Latcham, said, this is the only scene in the movie that was in the first draft, word for word. And I'm like, that's actually enormously depressing. But the reason it was that everybody said, no, this just works. And looking at it from that, I realized, this works because it's my entire career. See, look, she's helpless. No, she's kicking their asses.
Firstly, thank you for everything you've done. My boyfriend is possibly your biggest fan. He's even got your logo tattooed on him. He wants you to sign it. I want to know what it feels like to bring something like The Avengers, which is like this huge comic book that everyone knows from way when, and to bring it to a new generation in a way that, like, even my 3-year-old loves it.
You are warping your 3-year-old. They shouldn't know that there's space portals. It's not something you should find out about till you're 6. A lot of the work was done for me, obviously. I had an extraordinary cast. I had, exceptional filmmakers who had come before. I had a history of reading these characters myself. It really is just a question of loving and respecting these guys so much that when they speak and when they move, when they do anything, it's the thing you always wish they'd done when you were reading the comic, or occasionally the thing they did do that you can steal because it's awesome. And having that just complete focus on capturing the best moments of them, the best aspects of their characters, the weaknesses, the page turners. It's always about, the thing about comic books is every other page you get the chance to surprise somebody with a joke, with a reveal, something horrible, something wonderful, and there's act breaks, there's, every art form has those moments, but nobody has them as often as comic books do. Like, you just can keep bringing that moment, so you're always looking for it. And if you put that in the movie, if it works and it's true to the characters, then everybody's happy. I think that would be the most answer.
Just FYI, I think because you're right for Bones, they spent the whole time grilling David Boreanaz about Angel.
Well, then we should talk about Bones. Now, why? Because
Avengers, awesome, but let's talk Cabin in the Woods. What is the film strip were in, which monster and what was Kevin? And if you don't have an answer, lie to me.
It's not a question of not having an answer, it's a question of whether or not Drew would want me to tell. But I will tell about Kevin. This was a very painful thing for Drew because I was the one who insisted we had to cut Kevin. Kevin was just a guy in a shirt that said, with a name of the thing that said Kevin, who would just horribly murder people. But we had so many monsters going on and so many people running from them. I was like, I don't think visually anybody's going to get how awesome Kevin is. So we had to shut Kevin. And Drew hasn't spoken to me since. No, that part's not true. Now, you also have a good shirt on.
It's a very good shirt. I was just wondering what constraints you found making What You Do About Nothing, because it was a much smaller budget than The Avengers.
Which, by the way, when I said my answer to the question of why I made it, I forgot to include the fact that it all takes place in one location, which meant that I didn't have to buy a location. So that was also a big consideration. Ultimately, you are going to have the exact same set of problems in any situation. If it's Avengers or Much Ado, your actors are doing other projects. You scheduling them is a nightmare. Locations are a problem. There's always going to be the same sort of thing. They work on a different level, but it really is. I mean, I spent the first 3 weeks of Avengers going, this is more like making an internet musical than anything I have ever done. We were always one step ahead of the Reaper. The one thing I will say, filming at your house seems like a really great idea. Yes, thank you. It's the address of that guy's family. But here's the thing about filming at your house. All people ever do is mow their lawn and make their dogs bark, and there are airplanes and sound. It was like a nightmare. Apart from that, it really is. I've always, I work with what I've got. On the WB, we didn't have much money. We figured it out. And that was the same honestly with Avengers. I know that sounds crazy. We had plenty of money, but we knew where it was going. And they were like, you have this much time to shoot this really important dialogue scene and no more. We can't find this location, we have to use, all of the problems, they're all gonna happen all the time. And you have to learn to bend your way around them. One of the reasons we shot Much Ado in black and white was that it is a noir, and one of the reasons was that it was very elegant. And one of the other reasons is we didn't have time to really create a comprehensive lighting package. We used a lot of sunlight, but then we had to use a lot of fake sunlight, and just mixing the color temperatures would have taken so much time that we just said, if it's black and white, no one will ever know. There's one scene we shot one side of at night and another side of at noon, and you categorically can't tell. And so you have to, you take that into consideration too, and you build with the tools they give you. But it is never, I was never like, boy, I wish this was Avengers where I could digitally replace the blah, blah, blah. No, it's, am I having incredible fun? Do I care about what these people are doing? And is the craft service good?
I'm obviously not alone in being deeply impacted by your portrayal of women in the media, which is, very zeitgeist changey, and you rock for that. But there's another strand in your writing that I haven't heard you talk about as much that I'm interested in. I really enjoyed reading some of what you wrote during the writer's strike a few years ago. I'm actually a union organizer by trade, and in a lot of your work, you've portrayed sort of a corporate big bad. That's appeared in Angel, in Dollhouse. So in 30 seconds or less, can you tell us what is your economic philosophy?
I was raised on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Manhattan in the 70s, by the people who thought, John Reed and the young socialists of the 20s were some of the most idealistic people, and that socialism as a model was such a beautiful concept. And now, of course, it's become, a buzzword for horns and a pitchfork. And we're watching capitalism destroy itself right now, and ultimately, all of these systems don't work. I tend to, want to champion the working class because they are getting destroyed. I write about helplessness in the face of the giant corporations and the enormously rich people who are very often in power, giving those people more power to get even more power. We are turning into Tsarist Russia. Okay, we are creating a nation of serfs. That leads to, oddly enough, revolution and then socialism, which then will lead to totalitarianism. Nobody wins. It's really, really, really important that we find a system that honors both our need to achieve and doesn't try to take things away from us, but at the same time honors everybody's need to have a start, to have a goal, to have a life, to have an income, to have a chance. The fact is, these things have been taken away from us sometimes very gradually, sometimes not so gradually, since the beginning of the Reagan era, and it's proved to be catastrophic for so much of America. During the writer's strike, I was furious. I remain furious. I'm not always sure what to do about it. I don't think most of us are. But I do know that what's happening right now in the political arena is that we have people who are trying to create structures or preserve structures that will help the working class and the middle class, and people who are calling them socialists. And nobody has the perfect answer, but I honestly think we are now in a political debate that is no longer Republican versus Democrat or even conservative versus liberal. It's about people who are trying to make it work because they still remember, they still have some connection to the idea of personal dignity, and people who have gone off the reservation and believe that Jesus Christ came to America.
You're amazing, you're a god. I've grown up with you. Thank you so much for everything you've done.
Okay, good. Thank you, guys.
My question is, you've given me so many geek moments. My highlight maybe the last decade was a certain cameo, Cabin in the Woods. What is your biggest geek moment?
My biggest geek moment? My life is one endless geek moment. Honestly, I have never had a more intense geek perfect experience than the email I got from Joe Quesada that said, just to be clear, so the people you want for your team on the X-Men are as follows. And I read that, and that was where I coined the term nerdgasm. I just couldn't believe that my life had become that. You also would have been very amused to see me when I met Neil Adams and when I met Bernadette Peters. I could not speak. But it was actually very sad, but in a beautiful way. I have to say one more thing, which I forgot to say, because I know this, but I don't know if everybody else does. Next season, we are going to have a special presentation, thanks to our friends on the CW, who will be airing Dr. Horrible on television for the first time ever. and I think that's cool. I apologize for how dark this all got, twisted, and for the things I'm going to do later. But, as always, I am so grateful and so thrilled that you guys came out. And I hope next year to have an entirely new slate of things for you to ask questions about, because I just want to tell you more stories.